right, 20 seconds on the clock. Say what up, Tube?
What up, Tube?
What up, Tube? All right, last but certainly not least. Oh, let me make sure I ain't got no echo.
Echo.
Close that echo out. All right, there we go. No echo, ladies and gents. Here we go. For the show, we're going to go in 3, 2, and...
Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros!
Woo! What up, ladies and gentlemen? Hernan Cias here, host of the Business Bros podcast, where we help you create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow.
You got it. And here's your co-host, the insurance bro, James Cias with Pipeline Insurance, where we are empowering licensed professionals to effectively add insurance into their existing businesses.
Boom.
Boom. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, check this out. Today's guest is a man of many talents, bringing his many gifts to the proverbial table as a barbecue chef extraordinaire. This man is a true believer in low and slow. In addition to putting Kansas City to shame, today's guest has been a social media pro and has taken his barbecue catering business to the next level by doing the same thing he helps and encourages others to do: create meaningful content. As a podcast host, digital content creator, and food porn provider, today's guest is asking for help from our audience to help the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society beat blood cancer. Sign up to save lives with this multifaceted, multi-talented, multi-dimensional hero. Give a warm Business Bros pod welcome to this amazing guest from Cali Comfort Barbecue and the Digital Hospitality Podcast, Shawn Walchef. Oh man, I didn't have my audio queued up. Dang. See, I missed something. You guys over here rushing me. I didn't have my...
I'm a huge fan of Fight Night. You just got me fired up. Like, I'm ready to walk out of the tunnel, ready to get this thing going. Yeah.
So was it worth the 15 minutes?
It was worth the 15 minutes. we were late, but that's a different subject. It's all good. Fired up.
All right. We're here. Welcome to the show, Shawn. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Dude, all right. I'm curious to find out about all these different things that you got. But before we get started, I want to remind our audience, we are in the insurance business, ladies and gents. James is the insurance guy. Hit him up for all your insurance needs, 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. We got 2 events coming up this month on February 13th, which is this Thursday. It's going to be Resolution 2020. Make sure you guys get your tickets. James is going to drop the link in the show notes. Use the promo code BOSS2020 to get your $10 off. And then on February 25th at 6:30, we have Fuck Up Nights. That's where we have entrepreneurs get together. They talk about the different mistakes that they've made in the industries that they're in. That way we learn from their mistakes. We don't have to step in the same hole they did. That's going to be February 13th. So make sure you guys check both of those out. All right. You ready?
We're ready.
All right. I want to know a little bit about you prior to all this barbecue stuff. I mean, I got to know you a little bit on the show. You're a 2000 kid, just like me. So, what did you like just jump into this thing and that's it? You were doing barbecue, or like, how did you kind of get into this?
So I'm a Y2K baby. That's kind of what I call him, like an elder millennial.
Yeah.
So I was born in 82. Graduated high school in 2000, the year that the internet was supposed to stop Earth as we know it.
I remember that.
For me, I never thought I would be in the restaurant business. I grew up actually bussing tables and washing dishes at my family restaurant when I was 12 years old, and I fucking hated it.
You're like, I'm never doing this.
I was like, absolutely not. This is the last thing that I was going to do. Ended up going to University of Colorado at Boulder. Had an incredible time, almost too good of a time. But then moved back here, graduated from University of San Diego, and thought I was going to go to law school. Applied to law school, all 3 law schools, Thomas Jefferson, Cal Western, and University of San Diego, and they all rejected me.
They said no, so you said
no. They said, no, we don't want you.
So what, you decided?
So I took those letters and I framed them and I hung them on my desk.
As motivation?
Like,
yeah. I'm going to do something anyways.
That's correct.
So you went back to the restaurant business or what?
No, I was actually with one of my closest friends, Corey Robinson from Colorado. Him and I, we started a real estate company. So we were doing single family residential kind of rehabbing houses.
Flips? Yeah. It was a perfect time.
It was a good time, and it was actually the best of times and worst of times because it was 2006 to 2008.
You bought it right at the dip.
Yeah, so we learned a lot through that, and then we had an opportunity to get a liquor license at a location, actually was the location that I grew up bussing tables in. And
you got dragged back by the alcohol? Is that what happened?
I got dragged back by the alcohol. I've always been somebody that could recruit people well to a party, to a sporting event, to a tailgate.
So you were a good time, is what you're saying?
I tried to be a good time. Yeah, I tried to recruit the right talent for a good time, for sure.
What's that like? I mean, how do you know it's a good time? How do you know it's good talent for that?
That's a great question. I mean, growing up, I mean, I've always been a good recruiter, whether it was on a pickup basketball court, it was, trying to identify talent and find out who's going to be great at whatever position they're in. And I think that's something that has served me well as, I've moved on to the hospitality career and now the media career. So
we're at the age where like we kind of had to play around with dial-up internet. We kind of dealt with, like chat rooms with AOL. I don't know if you remember doing that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all kinds of weird stuff. We went through the stigma of only creepy ass people are on the internet to now where everybody's on the internet. How did you decide to like open up that role of your life? Like, what was that experience where you decided the internet's for me?
I think, having gone to, when I was in college in 2000, graduated high school and then went to Boulder, I remember sitting with Garrett Bleakley, who was my roommate at the time, and we're like, what's this Napster thing? And Napster was literally a way to download any fucking song you wanted without having to pay any money. Literally, you type in Dr. Dre, and every song you've ever wanted to hear started coming and populating on your playlist, and it was incredible.
Hell yeah.
It was one of those internet oh shit moments where you're like, oh my god, this is changing. It's game changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But once we opened up the restaurant in 2008, it was the height of the economic recession. It was a very difficult time, and a lot of very smart people that I loved and cared about, they told me that it wasn't a good idea to open up a restaurant, let alone any restaurant, and especially in East County, San Diego. We're located in Spring Valley, which is off the beaten path. We're not in Gaslamp by the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
For us, it was, okay, let's get this thing open. Let's activate this liquor license. Let's create a family-friendly experience where someone could have good food, but they can also enjoy NFL Sunday. So you could have a great breakfast, but you could also enjoy the 10 o'clock kickoff games. You could also enjoy fight night. You could also enjoy, if the Padres were playing or if the Aztecs were playing. Those things were important for us. But what I realized was that nobody was going to promote the restaurant if we didn't promote it ourselves.
Well, take me back before we start the promo. Take me back to like getting that thing open. It's 2008. So like if you set the stage, 2008 was not a really good time economically. It was hard to get funding for almost anything. Like
Correct.
Getting loans was difficult at that time. Like you go back even, 3 or 4 years before that, you fog a mirror, you got a mortgage. It was pretty easy. But when you're starting out, it was tough. How do you go and then opening a restaurant is another big, venture in and of itself. There's a lot of money that goes into just like, everything from, setting up your kitchen to your dining area. Like walk me through like getting that set up. Like how did you get that thing even started?
It was a process. It was a process of learning, creating a business plan, pitching friends, family for investment, and the dream that we had to, get this thing off the ground, and whatever it took. A lot of the things we learned as we went, it was building out a new bar, building out a new, fixing all the tenant improvements that we had to make the concept the way that we wanted, doing menu engineering, fixing the menu. We're still doing that today. It's 11 years later. It's just a never-ending process. But for us, we leaned on a lot of resources. I think one of the things that I learned early on was the internet was powerful to help a small independent operator. So something like restaurantowner.com, I could pay $29 and then get access to industry information from other independent restaurant owners, people that had multiple chain restaurants. They had forums, they had articles, they had all these tools where I didn't feel like I was alone. So it wasn't like reinventing the wheel. It's like, oh, you need an opening checklist for your manager. Here's one that we have, and you can edit it for yourself. Resources. And but a resource is only good if you utilize it. So I had to have a team. I have Eric Olafson, who's now a business partner, but he was our opening bar manager at the time. And, he complemented my weaknesses in a way that we had to have that team off the ground. You got to have people that believe in the vision. And for me, I had to sell him on a dream that there was going to be a successful concept in East County. I mean, he had moved out from Maine. He was working at Coronado's, at Pioe's. He was working in Pacific Beach, all these sexy tourist destination spots. I'm like, yeah, come out to Spring Valley. We're going to build something that no one else has ever built. We're going to build the Boise State, the blue field of college football, so that people know, hey, you got to come out here and try this. And he believed in the vision, and we were able to pull it off.
So that's kind of an important thing. Most people that start their businesses do it all by themselves. You hear about catering companies, like it's the one guy that does all the cooking, does all the booking, does all the everything all in one shot. Mm-hmm. You didn't take that approach. Why?
Well, I mean, at the beginning, you kind of do. So you have to do whatever you can to keep the doors open. But what I did know is that back to one of my best talents is recruiting people. I'm not the best shooter on the basketball court, but I can identify in the pregame warm-up when I'm picking a team who I want on my team. Mm-hmm. I can identify who's going to distribute the ball. I can identify who's going to hustle. I can identify who's going to rebound. Those are the people I need to have on my team for our team to be successful.
Good GM.
Good GM, yeah. Good GM, and just being able to understand what we need when we need it, and ask for help. I mean, I've recently started working with David Meltzer, who's a mentor of mine, but he's brought to the forefront that I'm not as good as asking for help as I thought I was, which is something that I'm working on now. But I have a problem, men have a problem, leaders have a problem asking for help, because it shows a sign. It's like you have a sign of weakness when the person that can help you might just be sitting right across the table from us right now.
It's funny, man. You're the second person this month to bring up David Meltzer.
Yeah,
like the guy
is a rock star,
dude. I just barely connected with him on Facebook, and just looking through his stuff, I'm like, holy crap! Like this guy's.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he also helps.
He'll send you his book for free. He'll pay for the shipping.
Dude,
I mean, Connected to Goodness. It's an incredible book. I recommend anybody reads it. I mean, the message that he has and what he went through and what he's doing now at the age of 52, creating a media company to literally make money, have fun, and help a lot of people. His vibration resonates with me. It resonates with a lot of people.
Dude, he's seen everybody that I've spoken to. Well, the two people that I've spoken to now, that have introduced me to him, all speak that highly of him. What is it about what he's offering, or what he's message that he's sending out that you've implemented in what you're doing? I
mean, I think one of the easiest way I can explain it is through music. When you're growing up, when we were growing up and Tupac came out, it was like, I didn't grow up in the ghetto. I didn't grow up urban, but what he was saying, what Eminem was saying, those were like, it was my anthem. Mm-hmm. Like the things, they just resonated with me in a way that, even though I was from La Jolla, like, what is a guy like me listening to hip hop? But that was the culture that I connected to, was basketball culture, watching the Lakers, watching Kobe, watching this Mamba mentality. Those things resonate with me on a level, the same way that Gary Vee resonates with me on a level, the same way that Tim Ferriss resonates with me, the same way that David Meltzer resonates with me. And then they're accessible through podcasts, they're accessible through the internet, they're accessible through blogs, through the content that they put out, whether it's in Instagram stories, whether it's an Instagram post, whether it's on Facebook. That stuff is meaningful, and it allows me to consume the content and implement it in my life. And you're asking, what have I implemented? I've implemented a daily habit, and that's a daily habit that I do every day, that I started because part of, just wanting to be healthy again, wanting to be a better husband to my wife, Rosica, who's my Bulgarian bride, and wanting to be a better dad to my son, Colleen, and my daughter, Mila, knowing that...
Whoa, your daughter's name's Mila?
Yeah, my daughter.
Mine too.
No way.
Yes way.
Really?
M-I-L-A. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my son's Liam, L-I-A-M.
Really?
Crazy, wow. Dude.
Yeah, Mila's short for Malanka. My wife's mother's name is Malanka.
Wow.
But wanting to be a better dad and wanting to be around, I mean, I've high blood pressure. I've gotten out of shape. I'm not the, athlete that I once was, and I need to do a better job working on that. How do I work on that? I know it's simple math, right?
Yeah, it is.
Eat less, work out more.
Yeah.
Like, it's just simple math. We all know that. But how do you implement something that's a daily habit? A daily habit on an exponential basis. And back to, Kobe Bryant and the Mamba mentality, because of 4 a.m. Kobe Bryant gave an acceptance speech at the ESPY Awards when he got the Icon Award, talking to all the athletes The reason that we're up here, getting this award is because of 4 a.m. It's because we're willing to put in the 2-a-days, the 5-a-days. We're willing to bleed. We're willing to cry. We're willing to do whatever it takes every day to achieve the impossible, to achieve what we want in life. And, you know, I've taken that to heart. I've started to wake up spending, you know, an hour and a half deep dive on my own self, which is reading, writing, and every sunrise I've been taking, I call it a jog. It's basically just getting out and moving. And I'm on day 29. Tomorrow will be day 30.
But tell me how much of a difference it's made in your life, though. Like, you know, something as simple as that extra hour or two in the morning to like develop your own personal habits. Like you've done it for 29 days. I saw a difference in just getting up and doing it in like a week. Was I tired? Yeah, I was tired at first, right? But by the end of the month, you're not as tired. You feel like you got more energy. The clarity of mind, like it's amazing how much you can reflect on what you've done and what you're trying to accomplish. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, journaling has been one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, when I'm writing down, like, what it was, I'm either looking for results or excuses, right? Like, I'm looking at it going, I was full of shit today. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't accomplish what I needed to accomplish. I have my one thing on the board for every single day. Like, did I accomplish my one thing? Is it that easy to do? But if you don't even, like, it's one thing to just write it on the board. It's another thing to go about your day trying to focus on that thing. Yeah. It's another thing about ending your day and reflecting back. Did I actually do it? And like with no BS with yourself, like truly, did you do it? Yeah.
Accountability. Yeah.
100%. Like that's, I don't know, to me, you know, that, I mean, you might reflect on yourself and say, you know, it's kind of a jog, walk, whatever. And you're kind of laughing at yourself, but you're doing it. You know how many people are not?
Well, I mean, that's part of the power of digital hospitality, which is what we talk about every week on our podcast. Is we live in a world where you can document it. You can have accountability partners that are on the internet.
Yeah.
And literally once I started posting pictures of my phone at 4 a.m. or pictures of me on my walk, I had all these people starting to reach out saying, oh, I want to get healthy again. You know, what are you doing? Like, you know, how did you get inspired to do that? And, you know, I read David Meltzer's book. I listened to Finding Center podcast by Nick Hardwick. Lots of things. People that I follow, you know, there's people that I admire and I follow, and they're posting, you know, when they're working out. And you wouldn't think, the problem that we have now in this day and age is we get into our own heads. Like, well, what are they going to fucking think? What are they going to think if I post that? Like, I'm being cocky and I'm bragging that I'm working out and, oh, you're better than me. It has nothing to do with that. All I'm doing is just documenting. I'm just documenting. And if nobody saw it, I just know that it's there in my story.
Yeah.
I know it's there in my story. And if I don't put it there tomorrow, then I've failed myself. I failed my own goal.
Yes. I mean, that's for me in the morning. Now, I've gotten to the point where I have like 5 or 6 people that I tag on my morning picture.
Yeah.
Right. But these people have said, hey, I want to be accountable. I want to be able to do this in the morning. And so they've joined the group. But I also wonder, I know there's a ton of people that are not part of my accountability group, but there's still an influence that I've placed on them just because they see it happening.
Correct.
I mean, how many people that you know every single day come up to you and be like, one of the first things they tell you is what they've seen in your story.
Absolutely.
Right? It happens all the time.
Well, because that's where the pulse is. I mean, you know, that's the cool thing about Instagram stories right now. And that's what's connecting with a lot of people is that if they're following your stories, then they're seeing a glimpse into your life, a glimpse. It's not just Shawn, the barbecue restaurant owner, or Shawn that's doing the podcast. It's, you know, Shawn being a dad, you know, Shawn trying to, you know, be a better husband, Shawn going out on date night, Shawn trying to run, climbing a mountain, Shawn showing the sunrise, Shawn showing East Lake where we just moved to. Like, that's just a glimpse into my life, but it's also allows people to go, you know, I'm already running. What about if I run and I post? Maybe it's not about me running that's posting, but maybe it's the people that are following me that might inspire them. Post more because you never know who you're going to inspire.
All right, we've led into this whole social media posting thing. And both of us have grown up where there was no internet. Now we have internet.
Yep.
Right. So you started your business. You started doing catering. You kind of mentioned a little bit that, you know, nobody was going to promote it, but you.
Yep.
Like, how did you decide to do this like podcast thing or, you know, to create content, that sort of stuff? I
mean, I think it's just kind of been an evolution of, you know, on June 29th, 2007, that was the day that the first iPhone came out. And the reason why that's an important date is it's not that long ago. It's only 13 years ago. You know, and if we're talking about how much the smartphone has changed all of our lives, I mean, literally from my wife, instead of going to Target, it's easier for her to, at the end of the night, be in bed and order diapers to get Amazon delivered to our door. Mm-hmm. Like, it's literally easier to do that. And it makes more sense to do that than to go and fight, you know, the parking lot, to go inside and then somebody's upset at the cashier. There's not enough cashiers, or the self-checkout doesn't work. Like, well, I'm just going to have Amazon deliver it. That's the world that we live in. So how are we adapting to that? It's changed everything. It's changed every business. And because we've had to do it all ourselves, you know, as a small business in Spring Valley, it's given us the tools, the muscles, you know, it's kind of building all these muscles of how do you use Twitter? How do you use Facebook? How do you use Instagram? How do you use it personally? How do you use it for business? There's no experts. Despite what people say that they're an expert on Facebook marketing, or they're an expert on LinkedIn, or they're
telling you what worked for them.
They might be good at that right now, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work 6 months from now. What matters is that you're doing it and that you know that it's important.
You're a practitioner.
You're a practitioner.
That's correct. Right. Because there's no other way for you to learn, to try something new, to figure out what failed, to figure out what works, unless you're actually doing it.
Correct. Oh.
That seemed like a pretty good time to interrupt today's regularly scheduled #1 podcast in San Diego for a purely selfish, completely irreverent, sell-out cash grab word from our sponsor. Hernan, what are we selling today?
I got 2 engagements I want you guys to go to. One is on this Thursday, February 13th. It is Resolution 2020. Look, it doesn't matter what day of the year it is. When you decide you want to make a change, that's when you're going to make a change. You might have made a resolution on January 1st, but are you keeping up to it? Resolution 2020 is going to light that little fire under your butt, get you back into gear. If you fell off the wagon, it's okay. It's easy to get back on and get to your goals. That's what Resolution 2020 is all about. On February 25th, we're going to be at Fuck Up Nights. This is where you have 3 speakers that are going to share their stories, their biggest fuck ups in business. You're going to want to listen. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. That's the problem. That's the best part about being in business is as long as you're trying something, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to modify. You're going to learn. You're going to adapt and keep moving forward. So that's going to be on February 25th. I want you guys to check it out. Details will be in the show notes.
And now, back to the #1 podcast in San Diego, the Business Bros Pod.
He's pretty energetic when you do it.
I need to get you into stadiums and arenas. I got guys. I can get you dialed in.
There you go.
And we're back.
He has fun with it, man.
Hey, don't laugh about it.
I got to do something back here, right?
If that's what you want, we can make it happen, man.
I'm down. I'll do it. I'll have some fun with it.
Okay, good. We'll make it happen.
He loves it, dude. Like for a long time, we were doing the podcast, him and I. When I dragged him into it, he didn't want to do the podcast, right?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "Hey, dude, we're doing a podcast." He's like, "Fine." I was like, "Hey, dude, we're doing every day." What? I was like, "All right, but we got to record some episodes to get going." He's like, "Fine." Cracks open some beers. He's like, "Let's do it." That's where the Business Bros came from. We're like 3 or 4 beers in, a couple episodes in, and we're like, "Welcome to another episode." He's like, "I'm Business Bros." It's just stuck ever since.
It's fantastic.
And then later on, he's like, "I got to do something, dude. I'll do my movie voice." I was like, "Go for it, dude. It's our show. Do whatever you want."
Yeah,
what are you going to do? Fire me?
Yeah.
That's the best part about creating your own content.
Yeah, no, dude.
You do what your heart's desire.
Exactly. People are going to like it and not going to like it. They're going to tune in. They're not going to tune in. It's
That's
pretty
the best
simple.
part of the world we live in.
Dude, it is. And I love how you were talking about Instagram stories because, there are people who are like nervous about getting in front of, like behind the camera when they take selfies all day, but they're nervous about, saying stuff or expressing their opinions or whatever.
What are people going to think?
What are people going to think? Dude, how old were you when you like stopped really giving a shit about what people think?
I mean, probably when we opened up the restaurant, like that was when we're in survival mode and we're like, everything that we have believed in, all the money that we raised, we're all in here. And if we don't make this fucking thing work, then we're going to be failures and we're not going to fail. So how are we going to not fail is by figuring out marketing, by figuring out social media, by figuring out the internet, by figuring out our website. All those things were vital for us, creating a brand, creating opportunities for ourselves to do things that other single unit restaurants don't get able to do.
Or ever do.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, restaurants that are, okay, let's get digital. We're going to build a website.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great start. You should have done that a long time ago.
Well, I mean, exactly that. So think about the world that we live in. Instagram's now popular right now. We're February 2020. Instagram is a place that everyone's got their attention. So, okay, I'm making sure that the business is posting once a day on Instagram. They don't know what they're posting. Yeah, at least. They don't know what they're posting, but they're posting once a day on Instagram. And then they're hitting the modal so that it goes on Facebook as well. But when was the last time they updated their website?
Well, what's the purpose?
So it's like, but
what's
that's
the purpose
platform.
of driving the attention?
Like that's the content. The content's getting created. That's great. We want content, but it's getting put onto Instagram. But what about the website? The place that Google's searching and Alexa's searching and Safari's searching. Like their content needs to be there first, and then you can repurpose it for Instagram.
I agree with you. Well, okay, so you started a podcast. What was the reason behind that?
The reason behind the podcast was literally just to go deeper into media, into digital media. And, I read books. I started to listen to podcasts, and realized that in the barbecue space and the barbecue business space specifically, there was nobody talking about the business side of barbecue. There were people talking about Barbecue Central show. Greg Rempe's a close friend. Love the guy. He's been doing it for, God, I think like 13 years. He's had Gary Vee on his podcast 3 times when he was doing Wine Library TV. So, I mean, he had an incredible show. But what Derek and I, my co-host who owns a butcher shop, what we were talking about was completely different. It was the restaurant side of the business, the catering side of the business. And then we started interviewing people in sports entertainment, other athletes like Landon Donovan. We started interviewing people in the media that we had made connections with through the butcher shop, the barbecue festivals, like Heather Meyer and Tabitha Lipkin. Then we got to interview Brian Smith, the founder of UGG. And then we started realizing, then we had Sam, the cooking guy, on. Then we started realizing this show it's not just, a barbecue business show. This is digital media, digital marketing. We have a lot of opportunity to share a story that just really isn't being told.
From the guests that you've had on the show, because I've had a very similar experience. We do it every day, so we have guests.
Nuts.
We try to do a guest every single day.
It's impressive.
It is nuts, but
it's impressive.
It's been one of the greatest. Like you talk about, when we started doing it, I told James, I was like, we're gonna do this podcast. We're gonna do it every day, and we're gonna do it for 3 years at least.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was thinking, well, Joe Rogan's in like the 1,000 episodes, so like quick math, right? That's going to be at least 3 years worth. So if I can get to 1,000 as fast as possible, my audience should also grow, and from there I should be able to sell more houses. I didn't know I was going to end up interviewing a lot of people in the real estate space at the time, but that was the initial thought, right?
Sure.
Now we're to the point where, we've grown our audience. We have had, 200 plus people have been on the show. Now we have people that come on the show and they're like, hey, can I use the video? Can I do this? I'm like, hell yeah. Like this is yours to repurpose. We get people that want to do additional things beyond that. And so the need has grown out of what we're doing. And now I'm thinking, well, how do I set that up? Like what is the next step? How did you end up creating a whole new business out of this whole podcasting thing?
It's crazy. It's, something where Stover, who's my producer now of the podcast, him and I worked together. He started Best Barbecue Show in Austin about the same time that we started Behind the Smoke. So in 2017, and, we became friends through Instagram Live. Literally, he was at Franklin's, which is, the mecca of barbecue. He was there with Yoni, his co-host, and they were doing Instagram Live. And I got on, and I was just bullshitting with them, talking to them, establishing a connection. And most people think like, oh, it's another barbecue podcast, that's my competition, or that's another barbecue restaurant, that's my competition. And we've never thought that way. We think of rising tide lifts all ships. We know that the craft beer industry in San Diego is stronger. Ballast Point sold for $1 billion because of Stone, because of Carl Strauss, because of all these other incredible breweries that were willing to share. So for us, what we see is it's so important to do.
Yes.
So many people think, but you have to do. And the problem with thinking and planning, which is great because you've got to have a show name, you got to have a logo, brand is important, but you can't prevent that from doing. And once you start doing, then you figure it out. just like everybody
change
else.
it. Yeah, our logo didn't come into existence
No.
until like 100 and something episodes in.
Correct.
Like,
and it'll probably change again.
and it will change again. Yeah, I'm sure it will.
We were California Comfort Restaurant and Sports Bar when we first opened. Now we're Cali BBQ Media. We changed about 6 different times through there.
and you'll probably change again.
And we'll probably change again, but that's just, the evolution of the brand and evolution of who we are as people, who I am, who my team is. But finding Stover really got to the point where I was telling him what my idea was for Cali Barbecue Media, and that was essentially combining the podcast and the blog and the events with our barbecue restaurant. So how do you combine those into one mobile first website? I needed somebody else, and I got Kyle Pfluger, who does Mithril Media. He's a local guy. Met him through friends Dave and Jeff, who have a podcast. They were on sports radio for 20 years, but he did their website. So reached out, we established a connection, and he said, yeah, he'll do it. Then I needed somebody to help produce the podcast, because could I do it? Yeah, I could do it, but I know that I'm better when I'm actually engaging with the guest, doing the thing that I do best. So I reached out, did a post on WorkPop, which distributes to all the major sites, as well as Facebook, Twitter, basically just asking my network, hey, is there somebody that does video and audio production? Because as much as we care about audio, just like you guys have cameras, you've got to produce
video
content for
Absolutely.
video, because you're already producing the content.
Now you got to repurpose.
He's writing show notes because show notes need to be found by Google. Video, audio, and written.
Yep.
Now you have 3. That's the triple threat. So once you're creating those and you have a team that's helping you create those, we realize that if I'm doing that for the restaurant, for digital hospitality, not only can we do it for us, but we can do it for clients. We can help other business owners literally unlock the thing that's been holding them back, which is everyone's trying to do digital marketing. Everyone's trying to do social media marketing. You're basically just throwing darts out there hoping that something sticks. Once you start creating content and start creating your own media, then you distribute it to all the other channels in a way, but you also own it on your own website. By owning it on your own website, that's where all the power is, because then you can cut it for LinkedIn, you can cut it for Instagram, you can cut it for Facebook, you can purpose it for Twitter, you can make a TikTok video out of it. That's where all the power is. Not only that, but then you have native video, native audio that you can share with your guest. Mm-hmm. Their guest can share with their partner. If you're at an event, then whoever's the sponsors of the event can get that content. Now you're talking about exponential eyes that are able to see what happened.
And that's all impressive, because when I tell people all the time when they come on the show, I'm like, look, this is 30 minutes of you telling your story, whatever it's going to be. At the end of the show, I'm going to give you the video, the audio. You're going to have it. You can repurpose it. And we do the same type of thing. I'm like, most people don't listen to an entire episode all the time. Like, if they're driving, in the background, they'll listen to entire episodes. But for the most part, they don't consume it like that. They consume the 30-second, 60-second repurposed clips that we do over and over and over again. That's what you see on our Instagram every single day. That's what you see on our Facebook. That's what you see on, always constantly coming out on Twitter. Yeah, but not as active on Twitter, but we are on Twitter.
You will be after today. You heard it here. Business Bros getting real active on Twitter.
Yeah, I definitely am. You know what? And I have been.
And LinkedIn.
Good. Yep. And TikTok.
And TikTok.
We're on everywhere.
Snapchat.
No.
Not yet.
I do have a Snapchat, but I don't use it very much.
We're Business Bros on Snapchat. It's coming soon.
Boom.
See, well, look at that. We're signing you up.
And that's my point, though. That's
email marketing. You guys
just started doing that.
Boom. MailChimp or what? What are we using?
ClickFunnels.
ClickFunnels. Boom. Look at that. Mm-hmm. All right, I better get those emails.
Yeah, you will. You will.
Good.
And then that's the thing, though. It's like I didn't know all that stuff. And, we didn't start developing a lot of these things until we're like 200, 250 episodes in. Like, all that is an evolution of you creating something and realizing that, how do I make this just a little bit better? How do I expand my audience?
Sharpening your saw. Yeah.
It's been ridiculous. When you develop your team, is it something that you like brought on people, salaried people, or you look for partners? How did that work?
I mean, we're looking right now. We have partners. So Blue Vision Entertainment, which is now Rising Tide Creative, Aaron Roberts and Brandon. They're essentially creating. They want to create a Hollywood in San Diego. There's so many creative people that don't want to go to LA in the film industry and in the video industry. And they're starting to realize that business owners need the content. We need creative people in our lives to help us carry our mission out. I don't care if you're a nonprofit, we mentioned Leukemia Lymphoma Society, we're going to start creating a lot of content, because how are we going to beat blood cancer? The only way we're going to beat blood cancer is by talking about it, by sharing stories about it, by having video about it, so that people understand that this is a problem. We can't have kids having cancer. We can't have anyone having cancer. And it's not just about Leukemia Lymphoma Society, it's about all of cancer.
It's a different kind of awareness.
How do we empower the researchers? How do we empower the people that are actually going to make it? We have to do that through the best way that we know how, which is digital media and in person. So as much as there's that digital side and the digital push, the hospitality side, my phone is actually being repurposed now as a camera for YouTube and Facebook, but I'm not on my phone. That's the thing that we teach our staff at the restaurant. Every business has to be in the hospitality business. So as much as I love digital, as much as I care about social, as much as I care about posting, it's fine if someone else is capturing the content that we're having, but this is where the magic happens.
Yes.
The magic happens in person. The magic happens when you go and you teach your class at Eastlake and they're sitting there listening to you. Whether they're putting a story up, that's fine. But if they're sitting there engaging on something else on their phone, that's where you lose them.
Absolutely.
When you go into a restaurant, when you go into a Target, if somebody's there and they're present, that's the hospitality, because they're anticipating your needs. They're there for you as a human. They're practicing empathy.
I can't even listen to an audiobook if I'm scrolling through Facebook and have an audio, but it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hear any of it. So
correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that comes down to us being, supposed multitaskers. We're not. There's no way for you to really multitask. There's only time for you to do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And if you that's why, for us, when we do our week sheets, when we do our, planning for the day, we focus on that one thing. You have to focus on the one thing to get that one thing done, because if you have 6 different things, you're never going to get it done. That's same thing. Your computer, do you have 50 million tabs open? Because if you do, you're never going to complete any of the one task that you're trying to get done. Focus on one thing, get it done, then move on. You will complete multiple tasks that way, but you have to finish that one first.
Yep.
Priority.
Correct.
Shout out to Melina Palmer, the Be Thoughtful Revolution. I now have a sticky note on my computer that says only the task or project that I'm working on can be on my desk or open on my desktop at any time. So I've really cut down on having multiple windows open.
And
like
clutter,
that.
right?
Clutter.
I like that. Clutter.
I like what you're talking
Marie
about.
Kondo.
Very Kondo.
Yeah, that's that Netflix magic.
What do you mean? What do you mean Netflix
She's
magic?
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo, the Chinese?
Yes.
I think she's
Japanese.
Japanese,
Yeah.
I think you're right, yeah.
I know exactly. She declutters everything, right?
She comes into Americans' houses and teaches them
What's up?
Yeah, what's up? I mean, we carry a lot of stuff. We carry a lot of baggage, and
We
that baggage prevents us from doing the things that we want to do, that are going to make us happy, that are going to impact the world, that are going to make a difference.
Physically and mentally.
Correct.
I mean, that's for me. That's always been one of those things where I've been I'm a Leo. I have a lot of pride. It's always been one of my biggest strengths, but also one of my biggest weaknesses. Mm-hmm. I would not do things for fear of looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Growing up, it was you can laugh with me, don't laugh at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now, I don't know, at some point, once I started doing this, I don't think, before we had the podcast, I had a Facebook and I had an Instagram.
Correct.
But it was just that's how I got invited to parties and kept up with, I was checking email, you know what I mean? It's not until I started the show that I really started to get to the point where, on the one hand, I don't really care what you have to say if you're criticizing. On the other hand, I absolutely care about every comment that gets laid on there, because I want to connect with people, and I want
grateful. Grateful that anybody's
absolutely
listening.
vital, great, 100%. But but I'm okay with the criticism. The criticism has been that's secondary. That's more okay, well, what did I do? How do I fix that, or how do I change, or how do I improve? But I don't take it like a personal offense anymore.
Absolutely.
That's and I think that comes with constantly being behind the camera, constantly saying things. If I fumble a line, stumble, forget a word, it's not a big deal anymore.
I mean, I think that's the power of doing.
Yeah.
Until you do, you start to build up this fear. When we first started getting invited to come speak on local news on Fox 5 or, on CBS 8 or KUSI, they would invite us to talk about the barbecue festival. And I was worried that they're going to ask me, as an imposter of barbecue, what the fuck does this guy know? He doesn't know anything about barbecue. Like, you grew up in La Jolla. What are you talking about? You have a business in Spring Valley. Let's talk to someone from Kansas City. Let's talk to someone from Austin. Let's talk to someone from Memphis.
But that's you putting those restrictions on yourself.
I did that to myself. No one cared. No one can tell the Cali barbecue story better than I can.
It's your story.
And it's my story. It's my story. It's our story. It's all of those hardworking staff. I mean, we have 55 people that literally bleed Cali blood. Like, they're family forever. And we have people that have worked for us that don't work for us anymore. They've gone on to, other careers, and they're always family. And they're part of our story. We have people that, they're brand ambassadors. We couldn't have a better sales force than these people that absolutely love what we do, because what we do is part of their story, and in any way that we can be a part of that, that's the greatest gift we can possibly have.
Speaking of stories, what's next? Like, no entrepreneur is ever content with where they're at. You've built a company in the midst of a great recession. You've grown that company to 55 in staff and growing. You've started a podcast. You now have a media company. Like, what is on the horizon for you? What are you looking at to achieve now?
Well, we want to cure cancer. That's a huge responsibility. And however we can do that, as a collective group here in San Diego, and inspire the other Leukemia Lymphoma Society chapters, which are 52 other chapters in the United States, however we can inspire them, that's important. But primarily giving the gift of content creation to other business owners, other people, that lets them unlock and live the life that I've been able to live. Because back to what you said, you can do whatever you want. Nobody's telling you what you can say and what you can't say, what ads you should read, what ads you shouldn't read. This is your show. This is your content. You can invite whoever you want to come on the podcast. And once people start looking at their marketing budget, their branding budget as creating media, it changes everything. It changes everything, because you're no longer focused on you. You're focused on the story of the village. You're focused on the story of the customer. You're focused on the story of the vendor. How can I give back, and how can I produce content for somebody that might not be able to? Mm-hmm. Once they do that, it's game changing.
You can have whatever you want if you can help enough people have get what they want.
Absolutely,
dude. It's been real, dude. Like, hearing your story and what you've developed, kind of makes me feel a little more validated as to where we're going.
Dude, you guys are doing all the right things, man. I'm super proud of everything that you're accomplishing, because so many people would look at this and be like, well, you're putting some internet show. Like, who do you think you are? You can't listen to those people. None of that matters. They don't get it. They think the earth is flat. Like, so pre-internet true. Earth flat. Like, pre-internet. Like, literally, they're terrified of the other side. They're terrified of privacy rights, or what are people going to think if I start publishing? But then eventually you're going to come a time where whatever business you're in, whatever cause you're trying to raise money for, if you're trying to, help your kids get funding for their little league, whatever you're trying to do, you're going to look at your phone and be like, well, why aren't we on the phone? Why aren't we on Facebook? Mm-hmm. Like, why don't we I'm looking at all this other stuff. I'm choosing of where to donate my money to all these other causes. Why isn't our cause coming up in the feed? Like, once you make that leap, everything changes.
It's so funny, man. Like, my network in the last year and a half since we've done this podcast is huge. It's massive. Like, I could pick up the phone and call almost anybody. My wife's the teacher at Bonita, right? And she teaches drama. So she's putting on this play, and she put out an email or a post on Buy Nothing National City or whatever. It's where you ask for stuff and people share stuff.
What is it called? On which platform?
Buy Nothing National City.
Okay.
Like, it's just people saying, hey, I'm looking for a bed, or I'm looking for this.
Okay.
She's looking for
offer
stuff.
Up type.
Yeah, but without selling it. It's just
it's just,
I'm giving it away. Whatever
instead of throwing it in the trash.
Exactly. So she posts that she needed some stuff, and so I took that post and I reposted all my stuff, and boom, 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 boom. Like, people are just hitting up. Mm-hmm. That power, that ability to say, hey, I need help with this, and people come to your side. It only comes from being able to put out content like this, and meeting people, shaking hands,
and asking. Melts are magic.
Oh my gosh, asking is huge.
You empower somebody to be a part of the story, because you've given them the greatest gift.
Did it make you feel a little bit like George Bailey at the end of It's a Wonderful Life?
Dude, you know, funny you say that, dude. Like I'm not a crier. Like I just don't cry very often.
I cry all the time.
He does. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Like
Yeah.
I think
we're
he
the
took.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, he took his.
I can't take it. I'm just like, yeah. My wife's like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you always crying?"
I watched Endgame 9 times. I cried 9 times.
It's awesome.
Well, I don't, right? And I don't know, sometimes I feel asshole-ish because I don't. But anyways, at the end of that movie, that scene almost gets me every year, dude. It's the one where I'm like I start to feel it, dude.
Yeah.
And it's that scene. Like, I watched that movie, and I don't want to watch the movie with anybody else, not the kids or anything, because I'm like, you're going to distract me. This is my one scene where I feel emotion.
There's the one time a year where I feel emotion.
Yeah. But it's true, dude. That's the scene, because for me, that's
good.
the epitome of what I want to be able to do. Like, when I talk about, having fame and fortune, that scene is exactly how I feel like how I see it in my life, where, I might need something and everybody who I've helped my entire life is there.
Yeah.
That's got my back. It means I've made an impact. That's exactly what it's about.
I mean, think about Kobe Bryant. I never met him personally.
Oh my
gosh. I cried multiple times a day for the first week. I've never met him.
Dude,
Never met him. I mean, he was on a big ask on our podcast board because of who he is and what he's done. And look at the impact and the gift. I mean, it was a tragedy. It was terrible tragedy.
Terrible tragedy.
Yep. But the Mamba mentality. I mean, we went up to Staples Center. We did a whole behind the scenes thing on our YouTube page, basically talking to other media members all over the globe. Media members from Australia, people from the Philippines, people from China, and they're just talking. I was talking to a guy that came up with us, June, about the impact that Kobe had in China. He grew up. Yao Ming was the Chinese player for the NBA. So my perception is Yao Ming's got to be their rock star.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, wasn't Yao Ming the most popular? And he goes, no, Kobe was. It's like, how is that possible? He's like, because he had the Mamba mentality. He was there for the underdog. He taught us about work ethic.
Dude, I shared one of those same stories. I got chills right now when you're talking about it. I shared one of those same stories with the students. I'm like, I didn't even watch basketball. But I know, like, I saw a video of him where he goes to do a fadeaway and he misses the shot. And it's not even like a postseason game, nothing. He missed. He stays after and he takes that same shot over and over and over again for hours to perfect that shot.
Yeah.
That's not what other people do. Like, there's skill and there's talent, right? He was born with natural talent, granted. But the skill is what he developed over time, over just consistently working his ass off to get better and better. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think a lot of people fall short, is they might have talent, but talent's only going to get you so far. It's those little habits that you do on a daily basis to develop those skills, to sharpen your saw, right?
Yeah.
That's why we respected him so much. That's why he was, that's the Mamba mentality. Like you said, that's huge. And we see it. Like, you can tell when a human's like when somebody's bullshitting you, like, you can tell, like, no, I don't believe that, whatever. But, like, with him, you could see exactly what he's doing. Even like, when they kept showing clips of, like, him and his daughter, and he's, like, training with her, like, you can see how much he's pushing on her without pushing, just showing, like, be the example. Like, she wanted to be like her dad because she saw what her dad does. And I try to take that with my kids, too. I don't know about you. Like, I don't force my kids to go out and run, to go out and do this. They do it because they see me every day doing it. You know what I mean? They see me putting out content every day. They want to put out content every day. Like, I don't have to tell them to do it. They're inspired because you're an example. And that's when you're putting out content and helping people do that sort of stuff, that's exactly what we try to do on a daily basis. That's why, now committed to doing this every single day, there's not a day we can't.
I mean, it's the best. I mean, that's literally become that's why people are reaching out to us. I have business owners, people that I care about deeply, and they have businesses, and they're like, can you help us? We have 2 clients, both our client number ones, Brian from Hot Sauces and More and Josh from American Factory Wheel. We're going to help them create their own podcast, their own video, literally their own media company within their business. And they're going to change the game. I know it in my heart. And it's going to be so cool to be along the journey with them, watching them, empowering them to do what we've been able to do for ourselves.
It's amazing. Dude.
Love it.
Hand up, right? Helping people get a hand up. Oh,
Sean.
Sean.
You're just telling me to.
Oh, yeah, you too.
I like
Sean.
that. I like that, raising the roof.
It's been awesome, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gents. Actually, I always forget to do this at the end. We're going to do the segment, the Ask the Bros segment. So think of a question that you want to ask us, personal business. And while you think of that, ladies and gents, just a quick reminder, James and I are in the insurance business. Pipeline Insurance is the name of our insurance agency. So make sure you guys hit us up for all your insurance needs. Maybe adding insurance into your business is the way to do it. It's a nice residual income that we can add. If you're a loan officer, you got a tax office, why are you letting those clients walk out without offering them additional products or services that can help them and you? Hit James up, 619-884-0045 or james@csfirst.com. Resolution 2020 is happening on Thursday, February 13th. Make sure you guys check that out. Use the promo code BOSS2020, and then February 25th we're going to be having fuck up nights, so make sure you guys check that stuff out. We're going to drop the notes we're going to drop the links in the show notes. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Ask away.
So my question is, how do you help somebody who wants to publish content but they have the fear of what people are going to judge them on?
You know, the number one way I've been able to do that is to bring them on the show. They get nervous at first, but they realize that we're just having a conversation, and before long, the cameras disappear. And then I have the content that we can repurpose for them. We can create little branding things for them. What I tell other people that are not on the show is to use the story features. Like, this is one of those things where it's going to disappear in 24 hours.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, who cares? Like, it's gone. But get in the habit of posting it and get yourself comfortable with seeing it for 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know, if you do it every single day and you post at least once like that, it's going to disappear. Not very many people are going to watch it, but you're going to get more comfortable yourself with being behind the camera, and then you'll get better, and then you can start to maybe make a post that lasts a long time, or you know, open up and do a little segment or whatever it is that we want to do. But the first thing is to get comfortable with yourself. This is your face, this is your voice, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's the way everybody's seen you, it's the way everybody's heard you for many years. Get out of your own way.
Yep.
That's for me, that's the two things that we like to do.
What have you always wanted to tell your brother that you haven't told him?
Funny guy, this guy. He's really hilarious, actually.
Thank you so much for starting a daily podcast. Thank you.
Man.
I love you for starting a daily podcast.
Yeah,
Isn't that what
exactly.
you always
Yeah,
wanted to
that's
tell him?
exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what it is. No, I don't know. I'm pretty honest with him. I don't think that there's anything that I'm keeping from him.
You told him he needs to have an iPhone, right? Not an Android.
I mean, that's his choice, honestly. You know, I'm not an iPhone pusher.
You
like,
need to guide him better.
I mean, I'm gonna keep my iPhone, but
iWatch
and
Mac
and
my iMac and MacBook, and
honestly, it doesn't matter, iPhone or Android. The most important thing is that you're producing content.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
There you go.
It can be any kind of phone.
It is.
As long as it's connected to the internet.
And it's got a camera on it.
And it's got a camera.
And you're solid.
That's it.
That's it.
Speaking of cameras, Shawn, take a look at this one over here. Let people know how to get a hold of you.
Easy. Go to Google and Google Cali BBQ. And if we don't show up, then I'm not doing my job, and I need to do a better job. But yeah, no, we're calibbq.media. Digital Hospitality is the name of the podcast on all the podcast platforms. Love for you guys to check out that. I'm going to have these gentlemen on, whether they know it or not. I'm inking the deal now. So that'll be cool because I'll get to ask you the questions.
That'd be awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Sounds
sweet.
fun.
Oh, and get on Twitter. Tweet at me. Shawn, ShawnPWalchef. The reason you need to be on Twitter is because that's where the media is.
That's where the media is. I didn't think of it like that.
I didn't either until I went to a podcast movement conference. There was a woman, Winnie Sun. She was up there. She had, 250,000 followers on Twitter, and she said the reason everyone needs to be on Twitter is, guess what? All the media is on Twitter. Old media, new media, they're on Twitter.
You're right.
It's true.
That's
always see
where even president gets a good chunk of his power, and Luke Skywalker. I was about to say Luke Hamill.
That would be cool. I
Mark
bet he'd
Hamill.
have a big account. Luke Skywalker would have a large Twitter
I'm sure
following.
he does,
sure.
but Mark Hamill does, and you're right. That's where all the media is.
Yeah.
I started off on Twitter, and then I took my foot off the gas for a while and moved over to.
The biggest advice is don't discriminate any platform.
True.
Because we all come up with reasons why we shouldn't be on it.
And I wouldn't say it shouldn't be on it. My thing is I come up with reasons why I didn't post on that platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. No, don't do that.
Do it.
Don't do that. Just do
Post.
it. Nike. Just do it.
Correct.
All right, ladies and gents, that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
And we're out.
All right. Thanks, Facebook. We love you.